Okay, sir. Attributes are the characteristics or yes, they are the characteristics of the particular class we are talking about, of the class we are examining.
Okay. What about method?
While methods are the things that it can do, like the functions, what it can perform.
Okay. Nice. So can you give an example?
So a person has name, age, height as attributes, while methods can be like the person can run, the person can dance, the person can sing.
Okay. That makes sense. So we spoke about creating instances of a class, right? Did we talk about creating instances of a class? Hello? Hello?
Yes, I think we started, but we're not able to get the notes, so I'm not really sure.
I added the notes to the classroom later, I think on Thursday. Did anyone see it? Yeah, this is it. This is the note.
Okay, sir.
All right, so I think this is it. That when we're creating instances for the class, right? That we're creating another car blue. So let's continue with the second one, which is defining a class, anti-naming convention, and class syntax. So let's move on. What did I draw? So let's move on. How do you define a class? In Python, a class is a blueprint for creating objects, like we mentioned that day. It's like as a class, it's supposed to define both the structure, that is the attributes, and the behavior, which is the methods that the object created from it will have. To define a class, Python provides the class keyword. This is just basically a recap of what we've done earlier. Now, the class keyword is used to define a class. Now, a class contains two things: the attribute and the method. That is, the attribute is the variable that store data about the object, and the methods what is function that define the behavior of the or action of the object. So, if we look at where we define class here, what are very it can okay, I already labeled it. This is an attribute. The color of the car is an attribute, and the model of the car is also an attribute. But the car is starting is what is a mode is a method. Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Baba, you raised your hand. It's a method because it's it's a method. Like I don't know if that's clear. Do you have any more question? So look at the syntax. The syntax is class, then you specify the name of the class. Then inside the name of the class, you say like you specify the attributes and the methods, like they'll go inside the what's it called. I hope that makes a lot of sense. Let's see if you have any question, just to bring it so that we can quickly tackle it. Now, give me a moment. So the next thing we most likely we want to cover is class syntax and details. Like sorry, the naming convention for classes. So naming convention for classes. When defining classes, follow this convention for readability and what and consistency. The first thing is that class name should be Pascal case. Do we know what Pascal case is? Did we talk about Pascal case? Okay. Okay. When we talk about type of cases, we have three of them. We have Pascal, we have Snake, and we have Camel. So this is Pascal, like is when you want to combine more than one word. Say for instance, now your variable name is more than one word. For instance, your variable name is myself, myself. But you know you can't write like this in Python. It's going to definitely reject it. Is that clear? Python is going to reject it. So there are three ways for us to write this in Python. We can either write it like this, myself. This is what we call snake case. Then we can write it like this. This is what we call camel case. If you look at it, camel usually camel case is when the first letter of the first word is small, like is lowercase, but the first letter of all the words after what's it called is now capital. Just like myself. If you have three words, myself, me, name, it's going to be like this. This is Pascal. So every letter after the first one, first letter of the first word will now become what? Will be capital, except for the first word. So this is what we call Pascal camel case. Because if you look at the structure of the camel, you see that like it's usually like jump up, then it gets higher, like something like that, camel case. Then the last one is Pascal case, which is every first letter will be myself. Every first letter will be capital letter. This is what we call Pascal case. Does that make sense? Please let me know if you are clear. Okay, good. Now, that is class names should be what Pascal case. The first letter of each word in this class should be capitalized without underscore. Name convention improves readability and makes it what? Clear that the identifier is what? Is a class. It's just so you don't have to think, is it a function? Is it a variable? So far you see it like that, you know that, oh, that's a conventional way for people to write it. That means it's a class. Now, like another thing is that you should avoid reserved keywords. Do not use Python reserved keyword in class names as they already what predefined in Python for specific purposes, right? Do you not use something like class? Don't say class, or def, return, import, etc. Like all of them. So an incorrect usage would be like this: class, def, then pass. It's going to give you syntax error. Does that make sense? Good. Do you have any questions so far? So now another thing is that try to be mnemonic when you are writing your, that is, be descriptive. Choose class names that clearly describe the purpose or function of the class. Avoid vague or cryptic names. Use student for a class representing a student instead of S, or other processor for a class handling other processing instead of what? Data. Does that make sense? Good. So those are the important things that you need to pay attention to when you're when you're writing a class. Now let's talk about the syntax in details. Even though we've covered it before, but this is just more like like a reminder for those who could not follow up also up in class last week, or that have not had the chance to review the notes because it's my fault. Now, a syntax would be class person. This is the class defining keyword, just like def. Do you understand? Like a keyword, then followed by the name, which is person. Can you see that it is capitalized, like the P is capitalized? Yes, that's an example of a Pascal case, even though it's a single word. Now, the init method initializes what? The attributes when an object is created. So you say def init, then you have self, then followed by the what? The attributes that you want to define, which is the name and the age. So self.name will be what? Will be name, which is an attribute. Self.age is also will be equal to age, which is also an attribute. Now, also a method will be something like display info will be print name of self.name, right? Age self.age, like to display the person's name and the person's age. So that's a working syntax for it. Let me just put this key point here so that when you go back to the notes, you can understand what is there. So we, even though we spoke about using a class during, like we spoke about how to use a class, right? Nobody saying anything. Now, we see the init method. This is the constructor method that is called automatically when an object is created. It is used to initialize the object attributes with what? With default or specific values. Now, the set parameter refers to the what? The current instance. What is the question? I know I'm not recording. I still haven't gotten my laptop back. Does anyone have any other question? Sorry, I still haven't gotten my laptop back, so I still cannot record yet. So just try and manage with me and pay attention, take notes. I'll try as much as possible to make these notes descriptive as possible. So can we move on? So now the attributes are variables within defined within a class to hold data or specific or state specific data or state specific to an object. In the person class, name and what age are attributes. Attributes are accessed and modified using the self keyword within a class. So this is the way it works. So that's an example of it. So I think those are the most important thing that you need to know under defining a class. Those are the most important things under defining a class. So the next thing will be the init method. We've spoken about it now. Please give me 1 minute. So the init method constructor in Python. The init method is a specialized method in Python that is automatically called. I think we spoke about it already now. That is specially called, that is automatically called when an object of a class is created. It is also known as constructor because it is used to initialize the attributes of a class. Now, initializing attributes, the init method allows you to assign initial values to what? To an attribute of a class when an object is created. This attribute holds the states or properties of the what? Of the object. Now look at it. Class, class name, then def init, then self parameters, like the parameters that you want to put in. Does that make sense? Like it could be the name and age, it could be color. Let me show you a real example, a full example. Class person def init, then self. These are what? These are the parameters. Then self dot name is name, self dot age is age. That like you are just initializing the name attribute, and this one is initializing the age attribute. Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
So that's majorly the basic concept of a class, like how to define it, how to like the parameters to use. I think we've covered virtually everything. I think it's only self we've not covered. So let's just go through that in a proper way too. Yes, understanding the self parameter. The self parameter is a reference to the current instance of the class. It is automatically passed to all methods in a class, including the init method, and this is what it is used for. Number one thing is that easy to access the attributes and methods of a class. Like you use the self method, the self parameter. Can you see that we have it here and we have it here and here? You use it for both the class, the initialization itself, use it for the attributes, and use it for the parameters. So what self allows you to do is that it allows you to refer to the instance attributes and methods from within the class. And this is essential for interacting with an object, data, and functionality. The second thing it does is differentiate between the instance attributes and local variables or method parameters. Does that make sense? Like when you have local variables that are present in your what is it called? You can use the self method to initialize to differentiate between them. Say for instance, now attributes are tied to the instance using self. Like you can tell that this that you're looking at is what is tied to this instance. Do you understand? If you just have another name like maybe height and it's not tied to any instance, you know that that one is a local variable, not an instance. Does that make sense? Now, what are the local variable exist only within the scope of the method, but do not persist beyond. Now, what are the key points about self? Self must be the first parameter. Meaning that anytime you want to have self, it must be the first parameter. You can't do name h then comma self. Does that make sense? Then when self must be the first parameter of any method, including the init. When the method is called, when the method is called, self automatically refers to the object that is called. Self refers to the current instance. When an object is created, self refers to the specific instance, allowing the object to maintain its unique data or behavior. And self is conventional and not a keyword. While you could technically use another name instead of self, it is strongly recommended to stick to self for readability and consistency across your Python code bases. I don't know if that makes sense to you. Like you can use a self is not a Python keyword. It's just a conventional thing. So you can decide to use me or myself. It's going to work, but it's just that someone might not understand if they are not quite used to, if they don't understand the what's it called, because even myself I'll be like, why are you using this in an instance? Because what I'm quite used to is people using the right thing, like using self to create the instance, not another one. Does that make sense? Any questions so far? Any questions so far, like about the class itself and everything? Please respond if you have any question. Yes, please go ahead.
So actually, I missed the class since like last week, sir. So I'm lost, like very lost.
Who wants to help our brother? Who wants to find him? Please, who wants to help us find him? Nobody is willing to. Zainab, do you want to find him? You muted yourself.
Yes, I can. But I'm
Okay,
somehow busy
please.
this weekend, maybe during the week, like Monday.
All right, no problem, no problem. Monday.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you for helping.
Yes, sir.
So now let's move on to the next thing, which is instance and class methods in Python. We've spoken about instance and class method now. Who they've prepared these notes? I think they just prepared it as like as a note for you guys to read, not as a way to teach it in class. Because we've spoken about attributes and methods over and over again. Maybe I was the one that jumped, sure. So let me just include this. Do you know the difference between class attributes and instance attributes? Okay. And that silence means that
No,
you
sir.
don't. Oh, so now instance and class methods in Python. Like in Python, methods are functions defined within a class that operate on the data associated with the class, right? The methods are of two main types. We have instance method and class method. Now the first one is instance method. Instance method are what are the most common types of method in a class. They are defined to operate on specific objects, which is instances of the class, instead of the entire class itself. Now, take self as if the first parameter, which refers to the current instance of the class. What and can access and modify the instance attributes, meaning that it is peculiar to an object. It's not peculiar to the entire class. Does that make sense? Now, how do you access and modify instance attribute? Instance method use the self parameters to what to access and modify the attributes of the specific instance. This is just an example. Instance method to display information. Can you see? Like you use self. So let's talk about everything we've been doing earlier is everything we've been doing earlier is actually sorry. Now let's use this class that we've created. So creating an instance of the person class. So person one is person
Aisha,
Alex 25. Hey, please unmute yourself. Now calling the instance will be something like this. Person one dot display info. What will this do now? This is going to display the info of the person. The second one is person one dot update age. It's going to update the age of the person to 30, right? and person1 dot display info is going to also display the person's info. Can you see? This is not going to output anything. Why? This does not output anything. Why?
Because we're not with it's like in that dev update app, update age. We are not told to return. We didn't tell it to return anything.
What did we ask it to do?
Just to update the age.
Yes, just to add the new age to it. That's basically what we asked, right? Like, is everybody on the same page with that?
Yes, sir.
Good. You see that when we wrote this display info, we added a print statement, but this one we are just reassigning the new value. So let's talk about class attributes so that you guys can have an idea of what we are trying to compare. Now look at it. Understand the difference between class and instance attributes. Attributes in Python classes can be categorized into instance attributes or class attributes. Each instance, what am I saying? Now, instance attributes, we didn't, please give me a moment. What I'm looking for. Okay, this is what I want to bring out. Yes, class method in Python. A class method is a method that operates on the class itself, like I was saying, rather than on individual instance of the method. Class method are used when you want to work with or modify the class attributes rather than an instance attribute. Does that make sense? Like when you want to work on the class itself rather than an instance, like, what we've been working with is more like an instance, like we've been doing self.age, like those ones are instances, like they are attributes and method, like. But when you want to work on the entire class itself, that's when you use class methods. And you can define them using the @class method decorator. And what are the key characteristics of class method? Number one is operate on the class. Class methods take CLS, short for class, as their first parameter, which represents the class itself. Now, it allows them to what? To access or modify the class level attributes. Now, you are going to define it with class method. The class method decorator indicates that the method is what? Is a class method and called on the class or an instance. Class method can be called using the class name or an instance of that attribute. Now, what does the syntax look like? The syntax is something like this: class name, then class attribute is going to be what? Some value. Then you see, this is the class method I've been talking about. This is the decorator. So it shows that what is coming under this is a class method rather than an instance method. I don't know if that makes sense to you. So then you can put your argument here. Now let's take an example so that you can get it better. So see, this is a class vehicle. Category is what? Is transport. This is the class attribute. Def, init, self, method, blah blah blah. This ones are what? This ones are instance method. Now this one is class method. Update category, CLS, new category, CLS dot category equals to new category. That is modify the class attribute. That is modify this category. I don't know if that makes sense. So now, what would the usage look like? Let me show you what the usage would look like. This is what the usage is going to look like. You can use it to access the class attribute, print vehicle.category. So it's going to output transport. Then you can also update it to automobile. Then you can print it. Then you can also use it on instances like car1 equals to vehicle like Toyota Corolla, car1.update category, cars. Then it's going to output cars. Can you see? So it works on that too. This part is always quite tricky. Like if you're not paying attention, or especially if you are not from a programming background, it's actually really, really quite tricky, especially when we get to all this inheritance. But I hope we are still on the same page.
So please, can you re-explain it again?
Which part?
This category part.
Okay, the class method.
Yes, this class method.
Okay, like what I was saying earlier is that we have instance method. We have two types of methods. We have the instance method and we have what? Class methods. Instance method works on specific instances. Like for instance, now this one that we did here, like this is an instance method. Like say for instance, now I want to change the age. You see, this age is an instance. But if you have a category, if you want to work on the class itself, you use a class method. For instance, now this category is not an instance, it's a class attribute, like the attribute of that class, not an attribute of any instance. Do you understand? So if you want to work on this, you need to use class method, and this is how you create a class method. Use this class method decorator at class method. Does that make sense? They now say define update category. Then instead of using self now, you are going to use CLS, which is the short form for class.
Okay, I understand now.
Yeah, so then the name of the what's it called that you want to the name of the method that you want to change, then you can now call instead of saying self dot. Normally what we do is self dot whatever we want to
Self
do.
taught,
Now
yes.
do CLS dot category equals to new category. Now you can this is the usage of what we have. Like this is print vehicle dot category. That is class dot category. It's going to output the initial category that I'll put there for you. Then you can now update it by using this class method. And also class method can work on instance too. It can work on instance, it can work on this make and model too. So that's what I'm trying to say.
All right, sir. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Any other area of confusion for anybody? Anybody still confused? Sekina, you barely said a word in this class since we started. Sekina, are you with us? Sekina, can you hear me? Taufik, can you hear me? Are Taufik?
Hello.
Is it my yeah, okay. How has it been with this Python generally? Taufik,
Sir.
how has it been with this Python generally?
It's fine actually. It's fine.
Like you are good.
Yes, sir. Exactly. Yeah, I'm good.
I'm glad. Over you, Babale. What's which one gone do you want us to believe? Is it maybe because you are not new to it or because you are new to it? Which one? Which part? Do you mean this OOP? OOP is actually OOP is a big deal. I'm not going to lie to you. Like sometimes I normally tell students to skip OOP, then come back to it when they are a pretty good with Python. I'm serious. Like there is a time I normally advise students that skip OOP, then come back to it when you're a bit good with Python, like then come back and learn it. There's something we also call DSA, data structures and algorithm. I was supposed to include it in your syllabus, but I just felt like I should save all of us from headache. Do you understand? Like they are basically all of this, they are basically advanced ways of writing reusable codes. But if you're just a beginner, you don't have business with reusable codes. You just want to get things done. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. Or you don't like for instance, DSA is just like a way for you to test your problem solving, like with programming languages. So that's why I normally try to encourage them. But you guys are good. So because you guys are not even giving me the headache, like it's just even I'm always the one encouraging you to ask questions. Like because normal when I teach students this part, I most likely teach a concept and get like 20 questions after it. Like the way I taught these class attributes and methods now, I might have already see like 6, 7 answers up, like waiting to ask me questions. But the fact that you guys are not asking questions is giving me vibe like you know it, and is also getting me worried like because you need to understand it to some extent to ask questions. So it's giving me vibe like you guys know it, and it's giving me vibe like you guys don't understand it at all. Amina, Amina Kisoa. Or do you
Yes,
guys
sir.
want us to come back to OP at the end?
Sir, since we've started already, why can't you just continue and because
Yeah, honestly, that's more like the best approach. But if people are not getting it yet, there's no benefit in we just continuing. So that's why I want to get the opinion of the class. So Amina,
Yes, sir.
how has it been?
Not really fine, actually.
Mm-hmm. You are just in the class. How come you're not now asking questions?
I missed the last class, so I really don't want to draw us back.
But I think in my opinion, or in my own defense, everything we did in last class, I've actually covered it again. Does anyone agree with me? Those in the last class, not you, Amina.
yes, sir.
How many of us are not in last class? Raise your hand.
Sorry, sir. Last class as in how?
Like
The
that
last
was
class
last
we
week
did?
Sunday. Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay, three of you. Don't worry, you people should reach out to Zainab. She said she's willing to help. So you guys are not that much. So we can just continue like that since you guys are not that much. But those of us that were in class, how has it been? So let me give us this quick exercise to play around with and see if we can get it. So everybody in your own at your own end, try this.
Sir, please can you drop the note on lambda functions that we did last week?
Okay, I'm going to drop it now. I'm going
Yes,
to
sir.
add
Please,
it.
and the videos of last week. So.
We don't have video from last week. I mentioned it in class that
Hey,
we don't have video from last week.
God.
But if I see if I go back and check what we learned, I might be able to find you guys YouTube videos that will help you.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Now, please try this one. Bobo Ali. And you can try to check online for compressor or something. And you can just upload it on YouTube directly. If you have the data, YouTube will compress it. Yeah. Thank you for helping us. So, guys, please try this. Please upload on link on YouTube and share the link with us. Are you recording this too? How does that affect recording? Okay. Maybe we could jump on a call, then I'll show you when if maybe sometimes later. But then you guys should try this one. Create a school class with a class attribute school name. Add a class method. Change school new name to update the school name. So please let's quickly try this. Are you guys done? Hello? Can anyone hear me?
You can hear you, sir.
Yes. Are you done with the exercise?
Almost.
All right, please be fast. Hello? Can anyone hear me? Nobody's saying anything. Can you guys hear me? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm making it look like I wasn't talking. Are you guys done?
I'm
Hello?
not really sure of what I have, but I think I've done
It's
something.
okay. Let me allow you to share your screen. So share your screen. Let's see.
Sir, please, I'm using my phone
Wow.
and I'm using my laptop to code
Are you using your phone to join the class? You
for
can
the
barely see
call.
us very. Please, everybody, let's try to join with our laptops. It's very, very important. So who can share our screen to show us what they've done? It shouldn't be difficult now. I thought you guys claimed that you understand it. Kusaya Aziz, Abdulaziz Zainab. Abdulaziz Zainab.
Yes, sir. I'm not done, but I've started.
Wow. Okay. How about you, Babale? Okay, do you know what I'm going to do now? I'm going to compile a couple of exercises for us on OOP, on the things we've covered under OOP, to test your knowledge. Because it seems like I've just been speaking since morning. And I've been speaking to only myself.
Hello, sir.
Yes, I'm with you.
This one that you give us, are we meant to create an instance or it's just for us to create the class and
You are
then
going to create the class and create the instance.
okay, sir.
See, create a class with this, then add a class method. Then there's no way you create it and know if it's working if you don't use it. Can you see what we have? This is a task for you, bank account class. Number one is define a class bank account with the following attributes. You should have account holder, the name of the account holder, and the balance. Then you should have the following methods: deposit money, withdraw money, and check balance. Then this is the usage. So that's what you're supposed to do.
I
So
can't
I'm
see
going
your
to add.
screen, sir.
Sir, we can't see your screen.
Oh, sorry. I've forgotten that I stopped sharing to allow people to share. Yes, this is the task, bank account class. Define a class, bank account, with the following attributes: account holder, the balance, then add the following methods. Then this is the usage. Does that make sense? So I'm going to add one more to this. So this is the second one. Please, everybody, confirm you have access to this file that we are using, and confirm that it's currently there, like that this assignment is there. Like all you just have to do is come here and click on this. I'm waiting for it to load. Give some moment. Yes, I have it in my own. When I click on it, do you have it in your own too? Please, someone should confirm.
Yes, sir.
Good.
I can access it.
Okay. Now, yeah, I'm glad. So please,
Now,
let's
what
get
did
to
you
this
say we
board.
should click? Oh, I didn't see it. Oh.
Just click on this. Come to your classroom. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, and click on this. Click on this OOP.
Okay, it's the same one you
Just
gave us last time. Yeah.
Yeah, the same one I gave you the last time. Like that's one thing about using Google Colab. I just have to update the notes. I don't have to necessarily send it again. It's going to update itself. That's one of the things Google has done really well.
Okay.
So please let's try to do this before tomorrow. Then if quite majority of us or all of us, like, I'll be glad if we get to finish this and do it well and probably learn. Let me see if I can add some resources to help you to it, to help you get started. Then we can move faster tomorrow and try to finish the classes tomorrow and probably move to modules. Because we must finish this class this year. I don't want to see people's face next year. I want to see new faces. I don't mean that in a bad way. You people are not terrible people, but then I don't want to see your face. I've seen it long enough.
So you're tired of us. Oh.
I'm not tired of you people, but then I want new set of people. Okay, well, on your way.